When you hear the name Albert Einstein, a certain image comes to mind. You might picture the wild white hair, the mischievous smile, or the chalkboard covered with strange equations that most of us could never solve. Einstein has become more than just a scientist. His name itself has turned into another word for genius. But behind that legend, behind the theories of relativity and the prizes and the fame, there is a hidden story. A story that was buried in letters, hidden from textbooks, and almost erased from memory. It is the story of a child. Not the sons we sometimes hear about in history books, but a daughter named Lieserl. Few people outside of scholars even know she existed, and for decades, the world was completely unaware of her. Yet in private letters between Einstein and his partner at the time, Mileva Marić, the traces of this child appear. The letters speak of her in small, simple ways, sometimes with affection, sometimes with worry. And then, almost suddenly, she disappears from the record. Who was Lieserl? Why did Einstein never speak of her publicly? Did she grow up? Did she die young? Was she given away, or was she lost to illness? The answers are uncertain, and perhaps will always remain uncertain. But the fact that she was hidden raises deeper questions. What does it mean when one of the greatest minds in human history, a man whose work reshaped our understanding of the universe, carried a secret so personal that he never allowed it into the light of day? This is not just a tale about science, it is a tale about humanity, secrecy, and the shadows in the life of a man we thought we knew. Today, we open that shadowed chapter and begin to uncover the truth about Einstein's forgotten daughter. Before Albert Einstein became a legend, he was just a young man searching for direction. Born in 1879 in Ulm, Germany, he was not the flawless child genius people imagine today. In school he often seemed distracted, and some teachers thought he would never amount to much. What set him apart was not memorizing facts but asking questions, picturing problems in his mind, and wondering about mysteries others ignored. His curiosity eventually led him to the Swiss Federal Polytechnic School in Zurich, where he studied physics and mathematics. It was there that he met Mileva Marić, a brilliant but often overlooked woman who fought for a place in a field dominated by men. Their shared passion for science brought them together, and soon their connection grew into something deeper than academic partnership. Yet their love was not simple. Einstein had no stable job, no fame, and Mileva's family doubted his future. Letters between them reveal a mix of hope and worry, affection and fear. In the middle of these struggles came news that would change everything: Mileva was pregnant. For an unmarried couple in the early 1900s, this was more than just difficult, it was a scandal. It could ruin reputations, destroy opportunities, and tear families apart. And so, caught between love and the harsh expectations of society, they carried a secret. That secret would take the form of a child, a little girl named Lieserl, who appeared only in their private letters and never in the public story of Einstein's life. The story of Lieserl first came to light not through official records or public acknowledgement, but through private letters exchanged between Albert Einstein and Mileva Marić in the early 1900s. These letters, discovered decades after Einstein's death, reveal a side of him the world never knew, the worried words of a young father. In one letter, he asks Mileva about their daughter's health and even about the possibility of measles, a disease that was often deadly for children at the time. In another, he speaks with affection, showing that Lieserl was not just a passing thought but a real presence in their lives, even if kept hidden from everyone else. Yet the letters are also clouded with secrecy, they never discuss her openly, and her existence was carefully shielded from Einstein's family, colleagues, and the world. The most haunting part is that after a handful of mentions, Lieserl's name disappears entirely from their correspondence. No explanation, no closure, no record of what became of her, only silence. For decades, historians had no idea that Einstein had a daughter, and when these letters finally surfaced in the 1980s, they shocked the academic world. They showed that behind the public figure of genius was a man living with a private burden, a story that had been locked away in personal papers for nearly a century. The letters are the only concrete proof we have that Lieserl ever existed, and at the same time, they are the very reason her story remains one of the greatest mysteries in Einstein's life. After those few mentions in their letters, Lieserl seems to vanish completely from history. There are no birth records, no photographs, no official documents that confirm what became of her. It is as if she slipped into the shadows and was erased from the story of Einstein's life. For historians, this silence is one of the most unsettling parts of the mystery. How could a man whose every move was eventually documented leave no trace of his first child? Some suggest that Mileva may have raised Lieserl alone for a short time, hidden from public view, while others believe the child may have been sent away to relatives in Serbia, where Mileva's family lived. The truth, however, is that we cannot confirm any of these theories with absolute certainty. What we do know is that by 1903, when Einstein and Mileva married, Lieserl was never again mentioned in their surviving letters, and from that point forward she simply disappears from the record. It is possible she died of illness, as measles was a deadly threat in those years, but the lack of any death certificate leaves only speculation. The disappearance of Lieserl not only deepens the mystery but also highlights the lengths to which Einstein and Mileva went to protect their reputations in a strict and unforgiving society. This hidden chapter, missing from textbooks and biographies for so long, reminds us that even history's most celebrated figures lived with secrets they could never fully share. Because the letters fall silent and no official records have ever been found, historians and biographers have spent decades trying to piece together what might have happened to Lieserl, and over time several theories have emerged. One of the strongest possibilities is that Lieserl may have died very young, perhaps from scarlet fever or measles, both of which were common and often fatal to children in the early 1900s. This would explain why Einstein asked about measles in one of his letters and why her name vanishes soon afterward. Another theory suggests that Lieserl was given up for adoption, either within Mileva's extended family in Serbia or to another household, to protect Einstein's reputation at a time when an illegitimate child could have ruined his career before it even began. Some researchers even propose that Mileva might have raised Lieserl in secret for a short time, though the absence of any photographs or references makes this unlikely. The sad truth is that we may never know which of these outcomes is correct, because no physical evidence has surfaced to confirm any of them. Each theory paints a different picture: a tragic death that left her forgotten, an adoption that erased her identity, or a hidden life we will never uncover. What unites them all is the sense of loss, the realization that this child, Einstein's firstborn, was removed from history so thoroughly that only scraps of private correspondence reveal she ever lived. Lieserl's mystery forces us to see Einstein not just as the distant genius on a pedestal, but as a man caught in the same human struggles of fear, shame, and impossible choices. When we think of Albert Einstein, we often separate the man from the myth, seeing only the celebrated figure whose theories changed the course of science. Yet the mystery of Lieserl pulls us back to the reality that behind every legend is a human being. On one side stands Einstein the genius, the thinker who developed the theory of relativity, won the Nobel Prize, and became a symbol of intellectual brilliance. On the other side stands Einstein the man, a young father who carried a secret that never reached the public, who may have felt the weight of guilt, regret, or sorrow over a daughter hidden from the world. For decades, history presented only the polished version, the one that celebrated his brilliance while leaving out his flaws. But the silence around Lieserl reminds us that greatness does not erase humanity. Einstein may have solved the mysteries of the universe, yet in his personal life he faced the same struggles that ordinary people do: fear of judgment, pressure from society, and the consequences of difficult choices. For some, learning about Lieserl changes how they view him, adding complexity to a figure often painted in simple strokes. For others, it deepens their respect, showing that even the most extraordinary minds lived with pain and imperfection. What is clear is that Lieserl's story forces us to look beyond the chalkboard and the equations and ask a deeper question: who was Albert Einstein, really, when the world was not watching? The story of Lieserl Einstein remains one of history's quiet mysteries, a reminder that even the most celebrated figures carry secrets that never make it into textbooks. For Albert Einstein, the man who unlocked the secrets of time, space, and energy, the existence of a hidden daughter shows that his personal life was far more complicated than the image we are taught. Lieserl's disappearance from the record leaves us with more questions than answers. Was she lost to illness, adopted in silence, or erased by time and shame? We may never know, and that uncertainty is part of what makes her story so haunting. Yet even without closure, her brief shadow in Einstein's letters teaches us something important: that genius does not free anyone from human struggles. Einstein was not just the smiling professor or the mind behind relativity, he was also a man who loved, feared, made choices, and carried burdens he never spoke of. Lieserl reminds us that behind every famous name is a hidden layer of life, one that often goes unseen by the public eye. As we remember Einstein for his towering contributions to science, we should also remember that even he had chapters he could not share. In the end, Lieserl's story is not only about what we lost in history but also about what we gain by seeing our heroes as human. It reminds us that truth is rarely simple, that every legend has a buried side, and that sometimes the greatest mysteries are not found in the stars above but in the lives of those we thought we already knew.